Okay, in this video we're checking out the URUAV UR85HD. This is another one of these micro Cinewhoops or HD power whoops here. It does 2 to 3S. Essentially, this has all the same electronics as the Mobula 7 HD, which I reviewed a while back. This is the original one that I've had. I never got the second one that was promised to me. Not sure why. And if you remember, this one had a lot of jello. The new one here, the UR85HD, is a little bit better. Still a little bit of jello. I'll explain some details as to why there's different props on here, and it's basically so there's less jello. Yeah, it's basically the same as the Mobula 7 HD, just a different frame with bigger propellers, and except with the 2-inch props on here versus the, I think these are 40mm props on the Mobula 7 HD. Obviously, you get a difference in size, so with the bigger frame here, it's going to be a little bit heavier and also not be able to hit as tight of a gap. Motors are, like I said, electronics are pretty much the same turtle, same flight stack and video transmitter. The motors are a little bit different here now. These are basically the same motors. These obviously the ones from Happy Model, the Mobula 7 HD are branded Happy Model. These happen to be the 1102 10,000 kVs, as you can see here. But they have since reduced the kV on these motors to 9,000 kV, which is what is on the UR85HD. But they are pretty much exactly the same motors as far as I can tell. Yeah, they have the 1.5mm motor shaft, which is why I have the Avan micro prop on here, just press fitted on. You can use the screws if you want, but I actually wanted to reduce the weight. And I'll show you a little. I took off the stock props here. These are like some King Kong props. They are pretty, you know, they will break in a crash. I haven't broken any of these, but I've seen them these little blades just fly off. And if you use the screws, it's a little bit heavier. So when I switched to the 4-bladed Avan props, I reduced the overall weight about 1.5 grams. So yeah, I'll show you some photos of the weights of this. Now with this setup here, as you see with the Avan props, it's coming in at just over 50 grams. I believe the Mobula 7 HD was around 45 grams. So obviously with the bigger setup here and the bigger frame, it is going to be a little bit heavier. And obviously with where the camera is here, you might get a little bit of the ducts in view versus on the Mobula 7, not as much because the camera is a little bit more forward with this pod. But other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. Just basically a bigger prop size. You get a little bit more power because of the 4-bladed prop here, and it's being a larger prop, so it's a little bit more acrobatic and faster. But I found it to, I thought this flew pretty good just out of the box the way it came. I have since did a update to the firmware to 4.02. So if you guys want the CLI dump with my tune, as you'll see in the flight footage, I'll put that down in the description if you guys are interested in duplicating my setup. Now you do have to flash 4.02. I think the one that was on here was like a nightly build of 4.0, like an older version, and it was okay. But yeah, I wanted something a little bit smoother because I was getting a bit of jello on the original stock prop. So speaking of the jello, so basically the out-of-the-box tune was okay on the stock prop. Still a bit of jello. Now when I flew it in really bright conditions, you would see a little bit more, and if it was a little bit overcast or lower light conditions, you would see a little less. It's pretty typical of these guys with the turtle on here. Obviously, they're so tiny. There's going to be some vibration. So I did try and search for some different props. And I did try to put the Dow Cyclone 2-inch prop on here. It does not fit because when you push it all the way down, it scrapes the duct. It's a little bit bigger than 2 inches. And the same went for the Gemfan 2035 prop. Also would scrape the side of the duct, so I did not end up flying with these. If you do put the Cyclone prop on the prop shaft, but then don't push it all the way down, and it's a little bit sticking above the where the top of the duct is, it will spin there, but then I was afraid that it might be slicing some wires or anything. I wanted it all the way down. As you can see, the Avan prop is all the way down in the duct and doesn't stick up. So that's why I didn't use the Cyclone prop, if you guys are wondering. And then I was able to try the Gemfan 1940 prop. This is a 1.9-inch prop, it's a little bit smaller. And these just actually had the worst jello of them all. You'll see that, but all at the same time, it was in the brightest lighting conditions. So, yeah, that's kind of the thing with these guys. Sometimes you're going to get lucky, and you're going to get a really clean build with super smooth motors. Everything is vibration free, and then it will have really clean video. Or you're going to get kind of sort of mixed bag like I get, you know, where for whatever reason the Mobula 7HD, no matter what I did, no matter what tune I tried, props, anything, I would just get constant jello. And that's what you're going to, you know, you've probably seen other reviews out there. So I'm going to be calling this like the next greatest Cinewhoop ever, and then in other videos you're going to see tons and tons of jello. It's a wide ranging of I guess build quality, I guess I would say, and I'm not sure if it necessarily has to do with the build. I think it has to do with mostly with the props and the motors and how smooth those particular motors are. That's going to determine whether or not you're going to get a lot of jello or not. So some people are going to get lucky and get really good parts and everything. It's going to be nice and smooth, and some people are going to get unlucky and they're going to get something that's going to have a lot of jello. So it is hit and miss, and so that's why I caution you, if you're interested in these Cinewhoops, you may have some jello issues. But I think that these props here, if you can get these Avan props, will probably give you the least amount of jello. It's definitely less than the stock props here, and definitely less than the Gemfan 3-bladed 1940 prop. So I think this is, and it's also really quiet too for whatever reason on the stock 3S battery. I thought this was the best setup, and you'll see. You can judge for yourself whether or not you think it's an acceptable amount of jello for you. You may be able to put an ND filter on here, like I did on the Beta 85X. Now this has the same small lens that the Mobula 7 HD had, so you're going to have to put like a little bit of an adapter on here, because it's not the Caddx Turtle ND filters only fit the turbo eye lens, not the special lens that comes on these pre-built bind and fly models. So yeah, you have to probably also trim away some of the canopy here to get that ND filter to fit on, but that would probably clean up the last of the jello. If you guys are interested in having me do a mod with maybe say like a 3D printed part and put the Caddx ND filter on here, let me know in the comments below. If there's enough interest, I could make that happen. I could try and duplicate what I did for the Beta 85X. And then actually, speaking of which, you know, this is the same prop size, 2 inches here, turtle and everything, but obviously this is a much heavier setup, the 85X. In some ways, that could be better, because if it's got a little more mass and weight to it, it's I think less prone to jello than the ultra light ones. But let me just show you the weight difference, because I know you guys are going to wonder about that. It's a pretty big difference in the weights. So the 85HD is, like I said, just over 50 grams, and then the 85X is at 70. Wow, it's 78 grams, 79 grams. Yeah, it's 78 grams. So yeah, it's huge difference in weight. It's 28 grams, almost 30 grams of weight difference here. Obviously, much bigger motors, 1105s and 1102s, and different KV. 2-board stack in this one, and TPU canopy, a separate large radio transmitter, and also the axis in the back, and separate receivers. So yeah, all that adds up extra weight. Also the little screws for the motors. Yeah, so yeah, those things can make a difference in terms of flight time as well. And yeah, let me just bring in these batteries. So speaking of flight time and batteries, so it comes with this one here, this URUAV 3S 300 milliamp hour high volt. Essentially, this is the same battery as the Happy Model one. As you can see here, I can't really notice any difference. And in terms of internal resistance on the charger, it's about the same. Performance, about the same as well. So yeah, you want to get if you want to get extra ones of these, I'll put links to these down in the description as well. Obviously, they fit right into the tray here. And yeah, I'm a little concerned that this probably might break at some point, because I don't know if this is coming out in camera. There are some stress marks already here. on the battery tray. You can kind of see there. I mean, it's still on there, no problem. It's not broken or anything, and none of the ducts are broken in any of the crashes I've had. So the frame seems okay, but yeah, this is these little battery tray holders down the bottom do concern me a bit because it doesn't seem to be super strong. But no problems holding the battery on, and obviously, as long as you're not smashing this into a brick wall at full speed, you're probably going to be okay. And one last thing that I want to note is that as the props here are press fitted on, and 3 of these were totally fine. The way you can tell if they're going to fly off or not is whether or not when you push it all the way down is if you grab the bell, if you're able to rotate the prop on there. If it spins, or if you're able to spin it pretty easily without actually putting a lot of force into it, that means you probably need some dental floss to secure it. So this one over here was a little bit on the loose side, and so what I did was I just used the dental floss technique where I put basically a little piece of dental floss inside the hole before I put it on top of the prop shaft. And so there's actually dental floss that goes on the side, on each side of the prop shaft, and it takes up a little bit of space and puts a little bit of friction in there so that the prop won't spin and then fly off in a crash or just fly off while you're flying. So I only use it for those instances where I put the prop on and it's easy to spin. That means it needs a little bit more, something to take up a little bit of space. And so there's a little bit of dental floss there. If you guys want to see a video on how to do that in detail, let me know in the comments below and I can make a separate video for you guys. But I think most people know how to do that or understand the concept of putting dental floss on the prop shaft and then the hole of the prop to hold on the prop. But yeah, if you guys want to see a video on that, let me know in the comments below. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. So overall, I think that this is an okay model. It's better than the Mobile 7 HD. I do like the 2-inch props, and I do like the fact it's lighter than the 85X, which is quite a bit heavier. Whether in the long run, whether it being lighter or not is good or beneficial, it's kind of debatable. Personally myself, I'm not 100% sure that necessarily heavier is better for less jello. And again, I caution you that if you do consider getting this, you may need some work, some modifications, different props, maybe an ND filter, something like that, to get rid of all of the jello in the places that you normally fly at. So keep that in mind, and it is going to be kind of hit and miss too. You might get lucky and you might get unlucky. This has been pretty consistent with all of the models that I've gotten. Yeah, some of them have been really good and some of them have not been, and that's been also the case for all the reviews I've seen out there. It's a lot of variability in whether or not you're going to see a lot of jello or not. So keep that in mind. And anyway, yeah, I've kind of rambled on way too much on that, and I've talked about that in previous videos as well. You can check out that playlist. It's the Cinewhoop playlist, and you can see the previous models that I've also reviewed, and you can decide for yourself which ones you like better or not. Anyway, here is more footage for you. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.